Hey everybody, it's Mr. Howard here with another Tuesday Tech Tip. So this is usually that time of year when we start thinking about what next year is going to be looking like. And a big part of what next year looks like is who is on your teaching team with you. You might have had teachers leave your team, you might have had teachers who aren't coming back next year for whatever reason, and you probably have new teachers who are coming in who are going to be working with you as well. So whenever you work as a team, it's always really important to keep track of where you keep all your files. Where's your documentation? Where's your paperwork? Do you keep homework in there? Worksheets? All that stuff has to be somewhere, and your team all needs access to it. Because you have all these different files everybody needs access to, and because teams are always evolving with people who need access to those files, this week we're going to talk about using a team drive to organize your team's resources. So team drives are just a resource that Google added to a normal Google Drive, where a group of people can own documents rather than having one person share documents to others. The benefits of this are you don't just have one person who's in charge of everything. If somebody does leave who does have ownership over those files, they don't disappear or get deleted. And when new people come into your organization or your team, you can automatically add them to that team drive so they already have access to all those files without you having to share everything one by one. So let me show you how to get started with a team drive. First of all, you'll just want to go to Drive. You can go to drive.google.com, Google Drive, put it in your search bar, whatever. You want to get right here. So in order to access team drives, if you look over here on the left-hand menu of your Google Drive, below where your drive is, you'll have an area called Team Drive. So we'll go ahead and click there. Now, an important thing to note is when you use team drives, not everybody has to make one. Just one person has to make the team drive, and then they will add people to that drive. So then they will just have access to all the files that are already in there. Once you're ready to create a new team drive and you're in the team drive section of your Google Drive, just click the New button, and that will immediately prompt you to create a new team drive and ask you to give it a name. Click Create. Once your team is created, it will automatically take you into that team drive. And the first thing you'll want to do is add the members of your team. It is super easy to add members to your team drive. Once you're inside your team drive, you're just going to click this link up here that says Add Members. And when this dialog pops up, you'll just start typing in either the email address or the name of that person. I think this guy would be an absolutely phenomenal addition to this team. So once you've typed in the names of the people that you want to add, you can then assign them roles. It's easiest to do this when you first invite people. So after you've typed their name in, you have a little drop-down menu here below. And these are all just different permissions that that person's going to have within the drive. So for example, the default is Content Manager. A person who's a content manager can create new files, add files, edit existing files, and delete files, move files around. So most people are going to want to be a content manager. You also have managers, and really the only extra thing they get is they can add new members to the team, but they can also change settings within the team drive. So you might just want to have one person who's a manager who will be in charge of that just to prevent confusion. Below you have different permissions. For example, you have contributor, person who can add files, but they don't really have any administrative access. They can't add people, they can't delete files, they can't really do much other than add files and edit them. Next, you have commenter. They can see files, they can't edit them, but they can leave comments on those files. And then finally, you have viewer. This is if you just need somebody who can see files, but maybe not necessarily have access to add, edit, or change anything. So when you add people, just decide which role you need them to have and assign that to them when you invite them. When you're ready to invite somebody, you can leave them a little message here, and then click Send. Once you've invited those people, they will get an email that tells them that they then have access, and they'll get a link to click on and join your team drive. Once you have a team drive, everybody can start creating new files in there, but another thing you can do is moving your existing files into your shared team drive. So there's a couple of ways that you can move a file into a shared team drive. The first is when you have the file open, you can click on the little folder icon up by the title of that file, and you can click the back arrow until you are at your main level of your Google Drive, and then you'll have access to your team drives. You just click on that arrow, find the drive that you want to share it to, and then click Move. So it's going to take that file, it's going to remove it from your ownership, and it's going to make the Fulton 58 schools own that file, but then everybody in your team will be able to access it. You'll see that when I go back to my team drive, I have that file sitting there ready to go, and now everybody on my team will have access to it as well. Another way that you can move a file to your team drive is just to right-click on any file in your drive that's viewable, click Move To, and do the same thing. Just click back a couple of times, put it in the team drive that you want it to be, and then click move. One kind of annoying thing about team drives right now is that you cannot move an entire folder into a team drive yet. That feature is supposed to be coming soon, but if you would like to move a folder full of resources that you have access to, you can download that folder to your computer and then re-upload it back to your team drive. You can also upload any files, so they don't have to be Google files. If you have PDFs on your computer, if you have other resources that aren't necessarily sitting in your Google Drive that everybody needs to have access to, you can click file upload and put those in there. So let's say you got PDFs, you got Word docs, you got PowerPoints, whatever, you can put all those things into your team drive as well, so everybody will then have access to that stuff, whether it's a Google based file or not. So hopefully knowing a little bit more about team drives will help you get started preparing for next year and making sure everybody that's going to be on your team is going to be on board and ready to rock and roll when the next school year starts. Alright guys, thanks for watching. We will see you next time.